Hello, folks. My name is Dave Kydd. I'm a psychotherapist, and this is my podcast, the I Am Podcast, Internal Art Museum, where every week we take images that I use in psychotherapy and figure out how to apply them to day-to-day life in a way that may help you out a little bit. So today, this is our 8th podcast. Big deal. I think I made too big a deal of the 7th podcast, so I'm trying to keep it low key for the 8th podcast. So it's the 8th episode. Take it or leave it. But I think it's going to be amazing. So today we are going to talk about your stress, my stress, Lily's stress, our dog Charlie's stress. How stressed out do you think our cat Billy is?
I think Billy's fine. I think Charlie's.
Yeah, Billy doesn't need. Billy, you don't need to listen to this one. So we're going to talk about stress today. I want you to picture stress like a barrel. Intrigued? Let's explore. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Does it feel like you're running life, or does it feel like life's running you sometimes? Do you feel like you're spiraling? Maybe you're a mom with 2 small kids. You work full time. Your mom recently died and your dad lives 2 hours away and he isn't doing very well. The price of everything is going up and it seems like you're always behind financially. Your marriage feels more like a business arrangement. You're lucky if you connect once a month for some face-to-face time, and you usually spend that time arguing with your husband about being unsupportive and you being emotionally unavailable. You've got a tightness in your chest that won't go away, and most days you feel like you just want to move to another country where nobody knows your name. Or maybe you're a teen. Your parents are divorced. Your mom is anxious and stressed all the time and seems more worried about your life than you are. And your dad doesn't seem to care about you at all. Often he cancels at the last minute on the weekends you're supposed to be with him. Your social media feeds are full of scary world problems. You and all your friends worry if you'll ever be able to find a good job, buy a house, support a family. If that sounds familiar, maybe this episode's for you. Here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you step by step ways to make your stress more manageable. It won't take away all your stress, but it will help you to identify what stressors you can let go of and what stressors need to be managed. So as usual, my wonderful daughter, Lily, we haven't heard from Lily yet today. Lily, can you say something unintelligible, something that sounds human but isn't an actual word?
I want to go to another Christmas market soon.
Yeah, these are all words. I completely understood everything.
Good.
I'm disappointed.
Okay.
You want to go to a Christmas market soon?
Yeah.
And why the hell is that?
Because it feels cute.
Yes. We were at a Christmas market last weekend and it was cute. It was snowing and cute. That was the official forecast.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was Lily. Lily is our artist. And so today we're going to be talking about this picture. So for you audio folks, you listen close because I'm going to describe this picture to a T for you. So it's little old bald me. I've got this strange vertical line for a nose, but that's what you've come to expect because this is the character who represents me. And I am wearing a big stress barrel because this little old me is very stressed out. In this picture, I'm dealing with deadlines and doctor's appointments and heartbreak and clocks. And Lily, you know how much I hate clocks. Clocks drive me crazy, just the way they look with their little hands going around and around. I hate clocks, they stress me out. So there's a clock there and, of course, money problems. So all of these things are stressing poor old Dave out. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how to help Dave and maybe help you if you're feeling a little bit stressed. We're going to go through 6 steps to a stress-free life. This is not true. These steps will not take away all the stress in your life, but They'll help you to get rid of the stress that you don't need to be dealing with, the excessive stress that you can actually do something about. And they also help you to manage the stress that you can't do anything about, because there's a lot of stress in life that we can't do anything about. So these 6 steps are going to help you with that. First step, I'm going to be clear about what stress actually is. Second step, we're going to clearly identify what's stressing you out. Third, we're going to quantify your stress. Fourth, we'll identify your symptoms of stress. Fifth, we'll see if there are any ways to reduce the stress flowing into your life. And 6, we're going to try to increase the stress flowing out of your life. So, step number 1, what is stress anyway? So I decided to go online and look for how stress is defined in physics and engineering. Here's what I got. Stress describes how internal forces within a material respond to external loads. Listen to that, external loads. Does it feel like you've got an external load on you these days? I know what that feels like. Maybe you do too. Stress in physics and engineering is defined as the internal force per unit area within materials that arises from external forces acting on them. It quantifies how much force is applied to a specific area of material, leading to, wait for it, deformation. You feel deformed by your stress? You feel like it's bending you out of shape? So I like that definition because it really kind of describes what's going on within us and the effect that stress can have on us. So that's what stress is. It's an external load on us that affects us internally. So let's move on to number 2. What's actually stressing you out anyway? Sometimes people don't even know what's stressing them out. And of course, if you don't know what's stressing you out, you can't figure out what to leave behind and what to manage. To help with number 2, I'm going to call in Mr. Whiteboard. So in order to explore this topic of stress and what to do about it, I thought that we would look for a super stressed out, beloved TV character. What super beloved, stressed out TV character comes to mind for all you folks out there? I'd be interested to hear in the comments. I thought of the show Friends right off the bat because it seems as though everybody on that show is stressed out all the time. But I searched for the most stressed out friend on that show. And the answer overwhelmingly came back Ross Geller. That's probably not a surprise. So what I thought we would do is we would try to help Ross out. So let's imagine that Ross has come in to see us for therapy because he's a stressed out ball of messy stress. So we're going to imagine that good old Ross Geller has come in to see us for counseling because he's dealing with his incapacitating stress. And I'm going to walk you through how I deal with actual clients every day regarding stress. All right, Ross, thanks for coming today. So Ross, I want to find out first what things are stressing you out. And what I heard from Ross, because Ross and I worked behind the scenes beforehand, and he gave me all of his answers. So what Ross said is divorces. I think it's 3 on the books for Ross. So the divorces are always stressing him out. It seems like he's always getting married or getting unmarried. He's got his son associated with one of the marriages, which creates a lot of anxiety for him. That's number 1. So number 2, his love life. Lots of chaos there, lots of drama. Number 3, his career, his job. He feels really insecure about his work. He feels like people are talking behind his back and stealing his sandwiches. That's a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And he's worried about how he appears to others all the time. So a lot of this revolves around his insecurities, right? So yeah, he's always worried about how he looks in the eyes of others. Can you give me an example of that, Lil?
Wearing leather pants.
Right. And how does that work? He's worried about that other people are going to think he looks silly in leather pants?
No, he is wearing stupid pants so that he appears to be cool.
Oh, right. And hilarity ensues.
Precisely.
Yes. Okay. And he's a perfectionist as well in his work and in his life. And so when you feel like you need to be perfect all the time, you're going to be stressed out all the time, right? So these are the stressors of Ross. And so I'm going to make sure that I explain all of this to you audio folks as we're going. So I've prepared this whiteboard. I've got a barrel drawn in the middle of the whiteboard with taps coming off of it. I've listed those stressors that I just mentioned. So first of all, let's talk about how this barrel works, this stress barrel works. So as the stress barrel fills and fills and fills, you become more and more uncomfortable. And when the barrel completely fills and starts to spill over, that's when you stop coping. So that's when things are most dire, you know, when you're confined to home, when you can't deal with life and you're checked out. So most people aren't there yet. A lot of people think, yeah, my stress barrel is completely full. But in order for it to be completely full, you're not functioning. So as I say, most people's barrels aren't completely full. So it's good to know exactly where your current stress level is. I've drawn a line on the barrel that indicates Ross's barrel is full about 70%, which is pretty high, but he's still coping, right? It's not all the way to the top. So we've drawn the line of the current stress about 70% up the barrel. Then what I've done on this barrel on the whiteboard is I've allotted how much stress is portioned to each particular stressor. So because Lily's such a fan of the show, she's helped me out here, but she figures that his biggest stressor is probably his love life. So his love life takes up the biggest chunk of that 70%. And then his perfectionism, maybe that's the next biggest. And the other three, the appearance to others, his career, and the divorces, they all kind of take up about the same amount. And when you add all of those up, you get to the 70% that fills up the barrel. So there's another line that I find very useful too, and that's your manageable stress line. Because everybody's got sort of a level of stress where they can function at without going off the rails. It's not where you want to be all the time, but you know that you can get by for a while if you can get life below that particular level. So this is the manageable stress level. So I like clients to also draw a line on the barrel where their manageable stress level is. And so we estimated that for Ross, that would probably be at the 50% full level of the barrel. So we drew another line halfway up the barrel. And so Ross doesn't have to get his stress all the way down to the bottom. He doesn't have to completely empty his stress barrel. All he has to do is reduce his stress from 70% to 50%, which is a lot lighter lift, right? It's easier to do that. Sometimes people feel overwhelmed because they feel like they have to get rid of all their stress. And if they're at 70% and they have to figure out how to reduce their stress by 70%, how are you ever going to do that? But 20%, maybe we can do that. So we've blown through step 3, which is quantifying your stress. So step number 1, we defined what stress is. Number 2, we clearly identified what's stressing you out, what is stressing Ross out. Number 3, we quantified Ross's stress. It's taking up 70% of his barrel. And next, we're going to identify his symptoms of stress. And the reason we're doing this is because oftentimes people don't even know that they're stressed out. They don't equate uncomfortable feelings emotionally and physically with their stress. So it creeps up and creeps up and creeps up until you get to the not coping and you didn't even realize that your stress was building. Personally, I find this is the case with myself as well. Oftentimes, I don't know that I'm stressed until I start feeling body symptoms, physical symptoms that tell me, oh, okay, something's going on. I need to figure out how to reduce some of this stress. I need to take a look inside and figure out what is stressing me out and then try to figure out how to reduce it, how to manage it, because I'm not doing as well as I should right now. So the way we do that is we know our symptoms. Back to Ross. What are Ross's symptoms? So Lily helped me out with this again. So Ross's voice gets higher when he gets stressed out. His voice gets louder. He becomes more irritable. His obsessiveness starts to show itself. And he has meltdowns. His famous one was pivot, right? I thought we had a laugh track or something. So when these symptoms show up, it tells Ross, I have to start paying attention to what's going on and how to manage my stress, how to deal with my stress, because it's becoming a problem. And it could become a bigger problem if I don't nip it in the bud. So these are Ross's symptoms. Now he knows what to look for. Let's move to step 5. So now Ross knows how stressed out he is. He knows how to tell if he's stressed out. Let's talk about what to do about all of this. There are 2 points of intervention. You can try to reduce the inflow. You see, so I'm pointing now that there's arrows going into the barrel, into the top of the barrel. And those arrows represent the stress inflow. So all of the stressors, divorces, love life, career, job, appearance to others, perfectionism, all of those are these arrows flowing into the barrel. And so one of the points of intervention is trying to reduce the inflow into the barrel. Obviously, that's going to help. So sometimes there are inflow items that you can actually reduce. Sometimes you can get rid of them altogether. Others, you can't do anything about. So let's look at Ross's stressors. So his divorces, he can't do anything about that, right? They've already happened. So if those are stressors in his life, they're probably going to be permanent stressors that he has to figure out how to manage instead of get rid of. When it comes to his love life, though, based on what I've seen of the show, there's lots of ways he can reduce the stress in his love life. He's got some kind of unhealthy ways of going about relationships, right? And if he were to figure out how to deal with those relationships better, there probably wouldn't be as much stress coming from his love life. And so he's reduced the inflow into his barrel. Career and job, if he wasn't paranoid as much. See, if Ross came to see me for therapy, we would start talking about his insecurities. Now, it seems like every episode I go back to episode number 2, but I'm going to do it again. So you remember in episode 2, you see your life like a movie. And there's a villain in your life movie. And who's the villain? It's your problem villain. And your problem villain becomes an untrustworthy source, right? And the problem can be anything: anxiety, low self-esteem, anger management. So what's the problem villain in Ross's life? Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe he's dealing with an insecurity villain. So if Ross and I were talking, we'd identify that insecurity villain and we would try to figure out how to help Ross reduce the influence of that insecurity villain. And imagine how much that would reduce the inflow into his stress barrel. If he wasn't as insecure, he wouldn't feel as much stress coming from his love life, from his career and his job. He wouldn't be worried about his appearance to others as much. And his perfectionism is probably fed by his insecurities, right? So his insecurity villain is going to use all of this against him. And if we can figure out how to reduce the influence of the insecurity villain, it's really going to help reduce his inflow. But now there's another very, very important point of intervention here. Not only can you reduce the inflow to help with your stress, you can increase the outflow. So sometimes in life, you can't do much about the inflow at all. And that can feel really kind of panicking, right? So my barrel is filling and filling and filling and I can't do anything about it. That's a scary feeling. That's where the outflow comes in. Now, I didn't mention before, but this whole image, I didn't think this up. This came from a young teenage woman that I was working with who's very, very smart. It's got to be about 20 years ago. So I don't know how old she is now, but it makes me feel old thinking about it. She came up with this image of a barrel. I had always talked about a coping container, how we have a coping container that fills up. And she said that her coping container is like a barrel. And this next bit is where it gets really brilliant. So she said that she has these taps that come off the barrel, and those taps allow her to empty the barrel and empty the stress. So let's say a tap halfway down might be going for a walk. Going for a walk may help reduce the stress by half. Obviously, the lower the tap on the barrel, the more effective the tap is, right? So halfway down would be her walking tap. And maybe a quarter of the way down, she's got a tap, and that tap might be listening to music, right? So for you audio folks, I've got taps coming off of this barrel. And so I'll make this up. So a tap at the bottom of the barrel might be talking to friends. That might be like the most effective tap that empties the largest portion of the barrel. So now we've got ways to manage the outflow as well, to increase the outflow. And that's going to help with your stress. When you feel uncomfortable, when you start feeling the symptoms, you can start turning those taps on, doing those things, and that'll help to empty the barrel. So how does that apply to Ross? Well, these are the taps according to Lily that Ross has. So at the very top, we've got a tap for you audio folks. We've got a tap labeled going to Central Perk. So going to see his friends and relaxing in a supportive environment. That was like having a tap a quarter of the way down the barrel. Dinosaurs was a tap halfway down the barrel. How does that work, Lil? How is dinosaurs a tap?
He likes dinosaurs
And so like, what does he do? Does he just think about dinosaurs?
and talk about dinosaurs.
So thinking and talking about dinosaurs is like a tap halfway down the barrel. Okay. And we know he's got an interest in music. And so that tap maybe is like 3/4 of the way down the barrel. And we also know how important Ross's friends are to him, right? And so having his friends around him and being able to talk over his problems with his friends and get things out, that's like having a tap almost at the bottom of the barrel. There may be more, but this is what we've got for Ross. We've got these 4 taps. So when Ross is aware that his voice is getting higher, his voice is getting louder, he's getting more irritable and obsessive and melting down, he knows my stress barrel is filling up. I'm going to need to figure out what taps I can use here. Maybe I can listen to some music or talk about dinosaurs or get together with my friends or go to Central Perk. And that's going to help him reduce the amount of stress in his barrel. And he's also doing the work of trying to reduce the inflow as well. So all of that is going to get his current stress level below his manageable stress level for sure. And then he's going to be okay. All right. So as you see in that, what? Where the hell is my whiteboard? Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we go any further, we have some news to break. This is an exclusive.
What, this?
Look at that. It's super shiny and beautiful. My daughter Lily is engaged to be married. She got engaged last weekend. And so we're super, super, super excited in my family. And so everybody around the world is now going to be passing on their congratulations to Lily. I'm just waiting for people in outer Mongolia and what they have to say about my daughter's marriage.
Awesome.
We're all pretty thrilled because we like her a lot.
Thanks.
And we also really, really like her fiance.
Thanks.
He's an amazing guy too.
Yes.
So we're all very happy. And so stay tuned because when she gets married, we'll bring you all along. She's promised that she's going to invite my whole audience to her wedding.
No, I did not.
No, she didn't. Okay. So now you know how to manage and deal with your stress. You've clearly identified what's stressing you out. You've quantified your stress. You've identified your symptoms of stress. you've reduced the inflow into your stress barrel, and you've increased the outflow by identifying your taps and using them. And that's going to really help get you from your current stress level, which is probably too high, down to your manageable stress level. So I've got some good news and some bad news. We're done. Everything rolled into one. It's good news and it's bad news. And it's happened. We're at the end of the episode. So as usual, I've got a couple of things that I'd love for you to do. I would love for you to take off your purse and whack the subscribe button with it. Just whack the subscribe button with your purse. I would, if you don't have a purse, that's fine. Find somebody who does. And get them to whack
Tell her, take it first.
Take their purse and whack the subscribe button with it. If you could click the notification barrel.
What?
And if you can't find the notification barrel, you can just click the notification bell. That should suffice. Oh, right, yes. So look for the thumbs up icon. That's the like button. And if you just give a little wink towards the like button, that's not going to do anything. So I need you to click on that. But you can wink at it as well, because that would be kind of cool. And with that, we're all done. So thank you for spending your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. And I look forward to seeing everybody next time. Take care, y'all. So, number 2, let's identify what's stressing you out. And for that, I'm going to call in Mr. Whiteboard. Mr. Whiteboard. That was really dumb.